Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashanah Shai Basham Kwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutation to all my fellow laborers who do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, and to the Akwath that are listening and learning. To you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. I'd also like to give thanks to those who donated alms. Much appreciated, much needed. But this word, this boogaloo thing, is spreading across the internet and spreading across YouTube like wildfire. And as you can read, this is from the NPR WBEZ 91.5 here in Chicago, and I do believe that NPR is a nationwide broadcast. And so this is an article off their channel, their radio channel, or whatever you want to call it. And it reads at the top of it, you see it says national security. Salakia. But let me read this scripture first before I jump into this article. And this is 2 Ezra 9:3, and it reads, "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world." All right? Matter of fact, let's read verse 4 as well. "Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." And we've been prophesying the downfall and the destruction of Babylon for quite some time. That it definitely, that the whole thing that the Egyptian would be against the Egyptian, that day and that time was coming. All right. But let's just jump into this article. And it reads, "Boogaloo was a new far-right slang for civil war." And this came out in January 2020. So it took a while for this thing to pick, for this word boogaloo to get out among the people, the regular civilians. And now that the news and the media is talking about it, but clearly this Hannah Alam, this Ishmaelite woman, did this article about it way back in January. All right. And it says, "The word boogaloo once represented a fusion of peoples and cultures. It was both a musical sound and dance. Now it's favored on far right as shorthand for an uprising against the government." All right. Let's go to 2 Ezra. Gotta hit Ezra's on that. The 15th chapter. Was that around the 15th, 16th verse? Well, we started 14, and it reads, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." All right? With swords in their hands, and that's what you're seeing. All right? These boogaloo guys, these good old boys and boogaloo boys showing up to Antifa, Black Lives Matters, and all these other different things. And then, of course, the plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan. And although these stories sound so made up and so, but because as I read into it, it sounds like something from a bad, 1980s movie. But in the movie Electric Boogaloo, which they're gonna speak, was a pretty bad movie. All right. But nevertheless, that's what this sounds like. But there's an underlying meaning behind this word boogaloo, as you're going to understand. But it says, "Now the story about the strange journey of the word that's popular in the far right corners of the internet, the word boogaloo." NPR's Hannah Alam tells us more. And it says, Tom and Jerio singing "Hey Hey Boogaloo." Hannah Alam byline in 1965. This song by Tom and Jerio was a hit, It sold 1 million records, and it also introduced America to a new word, boogaloo. All right? I guess 1 million records was a lot in 1965. All right? Tom and Jerry are singing Papa Chew, let's do the boogaloo. It says boogaloo emerged as a mashup of black and Latin influences, thus the whole breaking scene, the hip hop scene. All that was connected to this boogaloo, you know, because those were your the break dancers, you know, in the 70s and the 80s, and that was the main break dancers was Judah and Ephraim. All right, boogaloo emerged as a mashed up of black and Latin American influence. Some 50 years later, the word is still part of pop culture today, but with a very different meaning. It once represented a fusion of people and cultures. Now it refers to their coming apart, civil war, in some quarters a race war, right? And the men of the great millstone and the brothers that teach the likewise doctrine, the righteous brothers of the DTA, of the men of valor, and a few other solo brothers that teach the doctrine of the apostles of the great millstones, which is the only true doctrine, which is the doctrine of the Bible. They've been sounding this alarm for quite some time now. This is back in 2nd Ezra 15th chapter, starting at verse 16, and it reads, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." All right? In the course of the action, so they took action into their own hands to make this whole COVID and these people in government that are violating the civil laws that governs the people, the Constitution. They are, and quite frankly, they're asking for an uprising because they're violating the laws that they set up. They're supposed to always govern this country, all over something that has proven not to be what it is. Look, COVID-19 has a 99% recovery rate. I just read a thing about the 10 deadliest animals, all right? And more people died from particular animals, snake bites, scorpions, and different animals worldwide than they had of COVID. It's not a ban on those animals. There are other diseases that take people out in way higher numbers. All right? And they're using this to destroy and attack the Constitution and destroy and attack the financial well-being of many of its American citizens, which is why these people are uprising. Quite frankly, I'm happy. Let it all burn. Let these Edomites kill each other, because a lot of Edomites want to get involved in a race war, but in reality, they're just going to be killing each other. They're so against each other. They're not even gonna have a lot of time to focus on Jake like that. Although a lot of Jake are gonna get killed by these Edomites. It is written. But these Edomites are probably gonna kill each other even more so. All these preppers and these militias, they're so gun-ho for the race war, and they're gonna end up fighting each other more so than anything else. All right. It says, all right, so we are hot, we're live, we're talking about boogaloo tactics right now. And this is from an identified person. It says, boogaloo, how did the word end up on YouTube channels of armed, angry, white guys? Soundbite. I like it like that. Oh boy. Okay, let's go to verse 2nd Ezra 16 and 15. 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings or their princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power, and a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. And so they're going to cut off these cities, man. A lot of freedoms are getting ready to take away. We're headed for another lockdown, and the faster we head into this lockdown, the more violent, the more angry these angry white guys and other people in America are going to get. And quite frankly, they're playing right into the hands of what the elites want, because the elites are so ready for this. Why? Because they want to just crash this system and bring in a new digital system. That is their plan. Verse 18, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but he shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and the great tribulation. And all these riots and all this chaos that's going on in America is going to lead to the famine. All right, the food supplies are already broken. Right here in my neighborhood, I saw a mile long line of people in that line. A lot of in their cars to get food from a church pantry, which because the regular pantries are basically out. All right, so they're going to the church pantries now. This was a Christian church down the street, a Northern Kingdom Christian church. And they had armed guards out there where they would have people in line to get boxes of food. Right next to a grocery store, which prices are starting to go sky high. I saw a 50-pound bag of beans, and they were selling it for $65. That's a lot. It shouldn't cost that much for beans. But they're price gouging because they can right now. Think about it. I might want to go buy a couple of those bags myself. Because people, not to know I'm out, I'm not trying to stock food to the ceiling or nothing, but it would be wise to buy some extra food for your house. It will be unwise for you not to. All right? Not saying that that's going to save you, so don't go and twist my words. All right? But it would be wise for you to keep extra food on hand because you don't know how things are going to go down when you can and cannot leave your house, your neighborhood, or the stores are completely shut down. All right. Reading on, the line says, Boogaloo began as a sound and a dance. It bounced around from New York Spanish Harlem to R&B artists in Chicago and other cities. James Brown brought it to the new audiences. The Boogaloo is probably one of the hardest dancers in the world. I guess he's being funny right here. Used to get dizzy doing it. Over the decades, the word came in and out of use, but it wasn't until 1984 that Boogaloo, or at least the way we think of it now, had its defining moments thanks to a movie, actually a sequel to a movie about breakdancing. Rapping Electric Boogaloo Ultimate Show with Kelly Ozone and Turbo. All right, the Electric Boogaloo is breakdance too. All right, and just for entertainment, dancing entertainment values, especially if you were a street dancer, those movies were very popular. The acting was garbage, horrible as hell, but nevertheless, the dancing was spectacular. Breakdancing Electric Boogaloo was a dud. It was so bad it became a cult classic. Right? So that's pretty bad when something is so bad it becomes a cult classic anyway. All right. The title has evolved into a meme, sarcastic way of describing an unwanted sequel, not just for movies. You now hear it in politics and sports. Most importantly, for the spread of the meme, it took root among gamers. Today, Boogaloo I just skipped over some other stuff, but it says today Boogaloo has seeped out of the gaming community and found fertile ground in militant fringe You hear that? Militant fringe. Who wears fringes? So you guys who are going to the range and shooting your weapons. Now this was about white people, all right, so-called. But all of a sudden, militant fringe movements. So when we tell you that everything that this Edomite, that this devil does is to demonize and try to involve the Hebrew Israelites into all this madness, that is what they're doing. So those of you who are pulling up on people, all right, wearing your fringes and then you got, in fact, and you got guys who are not in camps, that are not a part of participating in that culture at all, wearing fringes and marching, demonizing, is all set up to demonize the Hebrew Israelites. How do we need to tell you? I'm going to read that again. Alam, today Boogaloo has seeped out of the gaming community and found fertile ground in militant fringe movements. That includes anarchists and others on the far left but especially popular among right-wing malicious, self-described patriot groups. And believe me, Hebrew Israelites are not patriotic at all. We are patriotic at all. We are not for this country. This country is not for us, and it's not for our turn. All right, we're just slave citizens here, just biding our time until the Lord comes and get us. Point blank. Period. All right, we're not trying to march in your marches or fight in your wars. None of that. Our army are those chariots, those so-called UFOs or aerial phenomenons or whatever the hell you calling them now that you're trying to downplay now all of a sudden. All right, and what's her name? Maria. What's the sister's name? The Issacharite sister. All right, look like a white woman that's always making the videos. Let me hold on. She always she diligent. Just saw her name. Because I got a response to her too, because she talking about the chariots and the elect and the rapture. There is no rapture, Maria. All right. Those chariots, that's the army of Israel, and they're only coming for the Israelites, and they're only coming for the elect of Israel. Point blank, period. They're not aliens and none of that. Wow, I must have hit a button and cleared it. But nevertheless, it says these self-described patriot groups in dozens of YouTube videos promise armed rebellion if the government tries to take their guns. A Civil War, electric boogaloo. So there it is, man. You know, it's really no more. The articles, you know, it's not that long of an article, but there it is. Let me find a closing scripture. I'm thinking of the one in Matthew. I believe it's Matthew 24. Because along with all of this, you're just having the wars and the rumors of wars. All in my feed is I'm seeing what's going on. You know, Dina Almeida with her videos about how hot the Middle East still is. You know, and people like not talking about it, but it's still going down. And you know, over there, there is no peace in the Middle East. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna start here. Yeah, this is Matthew. I'm gonna start at 11, and it says, no, let me start at verse 6. And it reads, and this is all in red, so this is Yahushua speaking, who the world ignorantly and wickedly, purposely and wickedly refer to as Jesus Christ, because they know that the letter J is newly created, that it wasn't even a letter, all right, and that the name Jesus, if you look up the word, is a compound word, G's and Zus, and when you look those words up, it breaks down to earth pig, right? And then the pig was forbidden for the Lord and his people to touch or consume. So that's it. You people have a hell of a price to pay. You have no idea. All right. But it says in verse 6, 24, Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. All right? The beginning of sorrows. And look at what's been going on in the world for the last 10 years, you know, since 2007, when from the time that the apostles came, you know, onto to YouTube. Look at the condition of the world now that the men of the Lord have been on the highways and byways prophesying his word to the four kings of the earth. The scripture says, when this gospel shall go forth to the four throughout the earth, then the end shall come. Fake, false Christianity, Catholicism, Methodist, the Book of Mormon, you know, Methodists, Episcopalians, the Baptists, the apologists, you know, all of them. That those lies have been going for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and the end didn't come. But look what happened in the world when the men of the Lord started prophesying, which no one else was doing. Call Halal Yahweh Bashem Abishai Bashem Dash. Stay prayed up, pray and fast. Call Halal Yahweh Bashem Abishai Bashem Dash. Shalom.